want a peanut. Jungle fresh.
Dance of the Dead was broadcast in November 1967. It was again written by Anthony Skene and directed by Don Chaffee. It was produced by David Tomlin and Patrick McGoohan. Although number 8 in the broadcast schedule, this rather dark episode should be viewed much earlier on, as we hear number 6 saying to a maid that he's new here. According to Anthony Skene, the central theme was more than chains and freedom, and one of life and death. From the title Dance of the Dead, we can see that it's taken from the famous Danse Macabre, a moral allegory with a list of characters from the emperor to the beggar. The dead summon representatives from all areas of life to dance with them to the grave. In the confines of the prisoner, we can also add that number 6 is told, and to accept, that he's already dead to the outside world. The subject of death permeates through the entire series, whether literal or metaphorical, from the graveyard and funeral scenes in Arrival through to the killings in Fallout. It's not there to be gratuitous. We know McGoohan's feelings on violence, so we must consider in the prisoner's allegorical parameters that we must accept death as the ultimate release from imprisonment, to lose one's physical life to win spiritual resurrection. This episode is among the most allegorical in the series. It embodies themes of psychological control, existential entrapment, and the inescapability of totalitarian systems. McGoohan's The Prisoner remains as relevant today as ever, a prescient critique of surveillance culture, mass conformity, and the erasure of individuality. Take a look outside and have a perusal of the villagers, the walking, or should I say, dancing dead. In the original script, Duncan McRae's character was originally shown with a digger next to an open grave. The digger said, "All done, sir," and the doctor replied, "Good, we can't leave bodies lying about, can we?" All this is seen by number 6. The ruthless doctor had been experimenting on villagers with no regard for life. After the iconic intro to the show, we start with number 40, our Tin Pot Mengele, overseeing his cohort's nocturnal mission to prepare number 6 for his experiment. We see 1 checks the cup to see if number 6 has drank his old drug-laden drink. In the opening scenes when number 40 is being questioned, he shows a total disregard for protocol, or even incurring the wrath of number 2.
Should you be doing this in the hospital?
I know what I'm doing.
What about number 2? Has it been agreed?
I'll take the responsibility. If we wait for orders, we'll never get results.
Duncan McRae's depiction of the morally devoid doctor adds depth to the villagers' enigmatic operations. A Scottish actor renowned for his versatility, McRae's filmography includes Whiskey Galore and The Kidnappers. Number 6 has been fitted with a brain interface, and in conjunction with the drugs he's been given, is temporarily in an altered state of perception, something like having one's dreams manipulated.
They always do that, don't worry. He'll be all right in a moment.
You know the instructions about number 6. If any damage is done to him, we shall all be in...
Before that happens.
The other unwilling participant in this experiment is number 42, and we'll soon learn he and 6 were colleagues of a sort in the prior employment. An orchestrated phone call is made for the 2, with the doctor feeding 42 his questions for 6. Even in his drug-induced state, this line of questioning is causing so much distress to number 6 that he passes out.
Hello, are you there?
It's Dutton. Hello, are you there?
You must stop! You'll damage the brain, then we'll all be...
Stop!
At that moment, we see the new number 2 enter the room, confident in her appraisal that number 6 would die before giving up information. Mary Morris delivers a compelling portrayal of number 2, exuding a blend of maternal warmth and authoritarian menace. Her distinguished career spans stage and screen, with notable performances in productions such as High Treason and Anna Karenina. The actor originally chosen to play number 2 was Trevor Howard, and he was to be dressed as Jack the Ripper for the carnival scenes. Unlike many of the other number 2s in The Prisoner, who were typically played by middle-aged men exuding authority in the traditional way, a quiet, almost whimsical menace made her one of the most memorable number 2s in the series, complete with a cackling laugh and snooping black cat. I would just add here that number 2's scarf throughout the series is slightly based on St Hugh's College, Oxford, certainly the colour scheme. However, the costume team under McGoohan's initial village history couldn't directly copy a genuine scarf, as that would have given the game away. The inference here is that McGoohan, who never went to a university, was mocking the Oxbridge network, who were top-heavy when it came to recruitment for MI5 and 6. As we know, Patrick had a deep disdain for any so-called authority, where the prying eyes are government overreach. Mary Morris had played Peter Pan in a theatre production. She portrayed the iconic role in the early 1940s at the Coliseum Theatre in London. Her performance was well received, and she brought a distinctive energy to the role, capturing both the playfulness and eerie otherworldliness of J.M. Barrie's character. In fact, Don Chaffee had seen her in this role and thought it a great idea to once again have Mary dressed as this iconic character. And as for the Peter Pan costume, its choice was highly symbolic. Peter Pan is the boy who never grows up, a character who exists outside the natural progression of time and maturity. In the context of The Prisoner, this aligns with the village's surreal, almost dreamlike world, where reality is distorted, time is fluid, and personal identity is stripped away. It reinforces the idea that number 6 is trapped in a place where he is expected to remain perpetually under control. Morris's character controls through psychological manipulation rather than overt power. She is playful yet menacing. Except in The Prisoner, it's number 6 who plays the role of the rebellious individual, while she presides over the village like an omnipotent force, amused by his resistance.
She knew, of course, that Trevor Howard had been in their minds for the role, and she wouldn't have wanted any of the dialogue to be changed because it suited her utterly. It suited her voice and her approach to the role, so she was very happy, not a bit bothered by it.
As number 42 is being led away, number 2 berates the doctor regarding his techniques. Throughout the series, we hear number 2 stating they don't want 6 to be broken as he's too valuable. They want him won over to have a future with his captors.
I don't want him broken. He must be won over. It may seem a long process to your practical mind, but this man has a future with us.
You can tell which episodes were filmed in late summertime, as most of the outside shots benefit from the crisp blue sky. When number 6 wakes up to the dulcet tones of Fenella Fielding, we note the bedside mug positioned in the foreground to nudge the viewer into remembering 6 had been drugged. As stated in an earlier video, if such a place as this existed, I'm sure all the guests would be permanently under the liquid cosh. Perhaps we all are now.
It was really a question of sorting out what is this village, what is this man, who are the people that's running it, what is their motives, what's his motives, where is this place supposed to be, should we let the audience know where it's supposed to be, are they the East, are they the West? I mean, all those issues were being discussed as we're shooting.
The village announcer adds the wonderful line, "Life's for living." Later on in the episode, he's told he's already dead. Just to add to number 6's misery, there are 2 large map of the world pictures on the wall, alongside the ubiquitous lava lamp that continually churns mini rovers into a temporary existence. As number 6 takes a brief look outside to see if he's still in the village, he sees number 2 through the TV set, and by his question, he knows he's being monitored 24/7. Number 2's answer, "Have a nice day, feel free," is such gentle mockery. The phrase had only come back into fashion during the 1960s and can certainly be used as a form of sarcasm.
How did I sleep?
Sound as a bell. Have a nice day. Feel free.
I love that shot of the housemaids being driven at 1 mile per hour. We also hear the line, "I'm new here," which lets us know that the episode should have been shown earlier.
Special delivery. Sign your number here, number 6.
After we see Six's invite to the carnival, the outdoor shot shows us the villagers in the black and white checker glasses. Again, if you know, you know. And I love the juxtaposition between the happy music and vibrant colours versus the thoroughly miserable look on everyone's faces. A bit like my mate's wedding day. As number 6 and his new friend enjoy watching the madness under the summer sky, he's greeted by number 2, who tells him they promised a cabaret this year, and no doubt number 6 is to be the entertainment. She goes on to tell him they're democratic, which of course is ludicrous.
We're promised a cabaret this year. You'll come.
I have a choice.
You do as you want.
As long as it's what you want.
As long as it is what the majority wants.
Further along in the conversation, number 6's eye is caught by 240. He already knows she's there by design and tries to extract information from her. Together the phrase could be reflecting the tension between curiosity and knowledge. Asking questions opens up the possibilities for growth and understanding, but it can put pressure on others to provide answers. Providing answers, in turn, can close down the space for further inquiry, potentially trapping the one answering in a fixed response. It's a reflection on the complexities and potential limitations of seeking and providing knowledge.
How long have you been here?
Questions are a burden to others. Answers a prison for oneself.
What did you do to have yourself brought here?
Questions are a burden.
And answers a prison for oneself.
Number 6 is blocked in his pursuit of the girl and is literally shocked from entering the town hall. We learn 240 is really 6's observer, and as he goes back to his home, we can clearly see the painted backdrop used to good effect. And I love the detail in there. I like the dialogue here with the maid trying to lecture 6 on village rules.
You're not allowed animals. It's a rule.
Rules to which I am not subject.
His questions regarding how things are brought into the village shows us how efficient this village really is. It reminds me of the invasion of the body snatchers when the pods are delivered at night, under the sleeping eyes of an entire town, an insidious nocturnal industry.
The potatoes and the aspirins. At night, when everyone's asleep. I've never seen a night.
As the maid number 21 gives 6 his bedtime drink, we can recognise it's the same lady from a rival's restaurant in the very first scene, then sporting badge number 104. In real life, she was Patsy Smart, sister of Danger Man creator Ralph Smart. Her other acting roles include Great Expectations, The Elephant Man, and The Fourth Protocol. For the second time in this episode, we see the sinister "be seeing you" parting gesture.
Be seeing you.
And you.
As number 2 is heading to make a report, we see the doctor slightly concerned to see if his prior experiment will be mentioned. After passing on his nighttime drink, obviously spiked, and the sleep-inducing lamplight, 6 jumps from his balcony and heads towards the beach. All this is under the watch of 240, whose concerns are casually brushed aside by a confident number 2. And good acting from the cat for not knocking over the props.
Has he? Don't worry. It'll test our efficiency.
The beach and open sea seem like an open invitation for an avenue of escape. With Rover being a constant guard to ward off such endeavours, it's a cruel blow to any potential pilgrims. This particular shot with 6 on his knees and a boat on the horizon is beautifully lit, but dejection for our protagonist. And I love Mary's line here, he'll eventually go back to his room. It's the only place he can ever go. I find this a really poignant line. After all, we're all trapped in our humble abode, physically and mentally.
He'll eventually go back to his room. It's the only place he can ever go.
As number 6 wakes up on the beach, he's joined by a washed-up body, played superbly by prop man Roy Cannon, and the girl in the picture was Jill Fennessy, the accountant. The radio number 6 finds is a Juliet 7 model. The decision to let number 6 wear a suit for the carnival is highly symbolic. It represents his individuality and resistance against the villagers' attempts to assimilate him. Throughout the series, clothing is used as a visual representation of identity and control. The fact that number 6 is given his old clothes, rather than being forced into a dictated carnival costume, is a psychological manipulation. His captors allow him to think that he retains his personal identity, while they systematically strip away his autonomy.
What is it?
My own suit, specially delivered for the occasion.
What does that mean?
That I'm still myself.
As the town crier is announcing the forthcoming festivities, we can once again see the almost vacant look on the faces of the villagers, complete with exuberant music and swirling umbrellas. And the costume department must have been really busy for this episode.
All citizens, take notice that carnival is decreed for tonight.
Aubrey Morris was cast as the town crier in Dance of the Dead due to his distinctive theatrical presence and ability to embody eccentric, often unsettling characters. A veteran character actor, he was known for his expressive face, commanding voice, and a talent for blending the comedic with the sinister, qualities that made him perfect for the prisoner's surreal world. Aubrey Morris featured in over 50 films, including The Nightcaller and The Wicker Man, his most famous being Mr. Deltoid in A Clockwork Orange. Plus his TV work included The Saint, The Avengers, and The Sweeney. Morrison's role as the town crier, his booming proclamations reinforced the villagers' authoritarian rule, his exaggerated pomp mocking the very concept of justice. His role in Dance of the Dead allows him to shift between the bombastic herald of village propaganda and the grotesque, Nero-like judge presiding over number 6's mock trial. This dual performance highlights the theatricality of power in the village. Allegorically, the town crier represents the mouthpiece of authoritarian rule, proclaiming dictated truths as though they were self-evident. His transition into a Romanesque emperor during the trial suggests the decadence and arbitrariness of such regimes, echoing the excesses of figures like Nero, who wielded power with theatrical cruelty, where verdicts are predetermined and resistance is met with pageantry rather than reason. Through his character, the episode critiques not just totalitarianism, but the ways in which authority disguises its control under the guise of tradition, legality, and spectacle. Number 6 joins the party, or shall we say, wake. And once again, the Black Cat's acting skills are noted as Angela walks by under his black and white sunshade. I like the maid's line here, anyone would think you were locked in, as number 6 finds his costume is his own suit, another dig to remind him of his prior life. We learn that the doctor has, let's say, cajoled Roland into giving up more information, and number 2 casually tells the doctor he has carte blanche with this expendable member of the community.
Well, he's given me quite a lot of information, but he's reluctant to go any further. I'm afraid I'll have to be more extreme.
In this rather grand natural light scene, with the beach in the background, number 6 finds a moment of serenity to listen to his radio. Now, in the time of people not knowing that they shouldn't fall off things, there are now railings erected around that circular ledge. Number 2 arrives with 6's observer, and we are treated to some wonderful dialogue between the lead characters, especially the lines, "Everything you want is here, everything's elsewhere." And it's clear with the line, "Only our more fractious children," that the unwilling residents are thought of as infants who must be taught lessons. Remember, All the villagers were actually in very responsible positions, from civil servants to nuclear physicists.
I'm sad, number 6. I thought you were beginning to...
Give in.
Be happy. Everything you want is here.
Everything's elsewhere.
Don't force me to take steps. We indulge any member of our community for a time after that.
Yes, I know. I've been to the hospital. I've seen.
There's a quick-fire exchange between Six and his observer, in which he states the Abraham Lincoln phrase as another of her learned mantras. I like Terry the Fly in this scene, who made a stellar all-around performance. Number 6 casually walks to the stone boat to grab a life ring and some rope, and we can see the switching shots from Portmeirion to MGM's wonderful cave interior. I think McGoohan's acting here is sublime. You can see the look of discomfort on his face, with an uncomfortable manner as he nestles down next to the dead body. How many times in films and TV do we see people nonchalantly acting beside bodies as though they're mere objects? He then makes out a letter in the hope of it being found and adds his photograph to the man's wallet. Hopefully the body can be taken out by the tide into deeper waters for retrieval. After being surprised to have an observer, number 6 walks up to his old colleague, Roland Walter Dutton.
You of all people. I'd never have believed it.
Roland Walter Dutton.
Alan White's transformation from a confident operative to a broken man exemplifies the village's capacity to erode individual will. His acting repertoire encompasses roles in Man in a Suitcase, The Champions, and Doctor Who. Roland can't give any definite answers due to the prior scrambling of his brain, and we learn he's on short-term relief from his deadly fate.
Still hope.
No, my friend. Not for me. Such noble thoughts are long dead.
Our next scene is gorgeously lit, courtesy of our nearest star, and we hear the call and response dialogue battered back and forth between 2 and 6. Mary stood defiantly with hand on hips, copied the stance from a Peter Pan stage performance. I love Skeen's line here, somebody who belongs to my world, only to be negated with, this is your world.
Somebody who belongs to my world.
This is your world. I am your world. If you insist on living a dream, you may be taken for mad.
I like my dream.
Then you are mad.
The whole scene is perfect, and now knowing number 6 was really Patrick McGoohan, it gives us a poignant appreciation of what was going through his mind, even after attaining worldwide success. We cut to the colourful indoor set, where the theatre glasses draw our eyes to the ballroom. We see Little Bo Peep, Napoleon, and villagers dressed in different national costumes. All the other guests look at number 6 with slight derision, as number 2 orders the festivity, or charade, to begin. After number 2 explains democracy is an irritation, she tells number 6 he doesn't have a costume because he doesn't exist.
Why haven't I a costume?
Perhaps because you don't exist.
The extras dancing here had to do so without there being a soundtrack. The music was added later. I like Bo Peep's line, there are treatments for people like you. I bet there are. Number 6 makes an exit to explore the deeper recesses of the town hall. He's jumped by number 20, who asks him to pass a termination order on. Number 20 being played by Lucy Griffiths, who had previously been seen as number 50, one of the judges in the chimes of Big Ben. Number 6 takes the note, and when further down the corridor, he opens the note to see the name Roland Walter Dutton. With number 6 stumbling into the temporary mortuary, we can see the wry use of filing cabinets used to house the bodies. After finding the stranger on the beach body, number 2 informs 6 that they will amend both wallet and body, to give the impression that our prisoner is the one who's died. dead to the outside world with no chance of rescue.
We'll amend him slightly. It's you who's died in an accident at sea. May I?
So to the outside world.
Which you only dream about.
I'll be dead.
The trial scene is one of the episode's most chilling moments. Number 6, accused of possessing a radio, is sentenced to death in a mock trial. His defense is theatrical, the prosecution ridiculous, and the court itself a farce. Yet the most terrifying moment comes when he calls Roland Walter Dutton as a witness, only to discover that Dutton has already been erased. The man he once knew has been reduced to a mindless husk, a living corpse.
A character witness. I want the court to call Roland Walter Dutton.
This is where Dance of the Dead fully embraces its Danse Macabre themes. The village is a place of the walking dead. Those who resist are destroyed, while those who comply lose their very identity. Number 6 himself is already considered dead in the outside world. His past self is gone. His defiance is now a mere performance in a world where the system has already won. Yet the most terrifying moment comes when he calls Roland Walter Dutton as a witness.
The court will resume its deliberations.
To further mock him, he has a mini rover balloon on the end of his stick. With the court sentence of death, Number 6 makes a run for freedom and finds himself in an ornate room, complete with a gurgling machine typing out messages. Number 2 states the other villagers will never see into this room. In allegorical terms, we can see that most people will never delve into the inner workings of the mind due to apathy and a lack of will to reason or question.
They've never seen in here and they never will. They lack your initiative.
What had happened is that one of the end scenes hadn't been shot, and I managed to overcome that with a few wild tracks and stretched one or two other things out. And I got the reputation for the man who saved Dance of the Dead.
The ending of Dance of the Dead is one of the most haunting and philosophical moments in The Prisoner. When Number 6, in the final act of defiance, attempts to destroy the machine, presumably a symbol of the villagers' control and surveillance. Even after tearing out its internal mechanism, the machine continues to function, and Number 2 responds with mocking laughter. This moment encapsulates one of the series' more profound ideas. Resistance, when directed at the wrong target, is meaningless. The village's power is not merely mechanical or structural. It's systemic, psychological, and existential. It's not something that can be dismantled by brute force alone. Number 2's chilling statement, "You're already dead," drives this theme even further. In a literal sense, it suggests that Number 6, stripped of his name, his past, and his autonomy, has already lost the essence of what made him a free man. Allegorically, it confronts the existential despair of a world where the individual is crushed under the weight of an all-powerful system. The village doesn't need to kill Number 6. It only needs to erase his ability to assert himself as an independent being. This line also ties into the episode's Danse Macabre theme, where the dead and the living are one and the same.
Observers of life should never get involved.
You'll never win.
Then how very uncomfortable for you, old chap.
The machine still running, despite its destruction, is a bleak metaphor for the inescapable nature of totalitarian control. It persists, not because it is invincible, but because it's already consumed the minds and spirits of those within. Patrick McGoohan envisioned The Prisoner as a profound exploration of individuality versus collectivism. Dance of the Dead stands as a testament to the prisoner's enduring legacy, prompting introspection on themes of identity, freedom, and societal control. Through its rich narrative and allegorical depth, The episode encourages a re-evaluation of the constructs that govern our lives, advocating for the preservation of individual thought and the courage to dissent in the face of conformity. The ending encapsulates the inescapability of the system. The machine, like the village itself, is not dependent on any single mechanism or leader. It's an ideology, a self-sustaining force, the illusion of choice, the surveillance state, the control of information. These are not relics of dystopian fiction, but everyday realities. The Prisoner remains a stark warning against complacency, a reminder that true freedom is never simply granted, but must be constantly fought for. A spokesperson for the West Midlands Gas Board said today that the board's only hope of safeguarding essential supplies to